Hello everyone, I'm Grandmaster Dennis Boros. Long time no see. Today I'm going to take a look at AK&M's game as she's taking on Mr. Beast's challenge. What is the Mr. Beast challenge about? Well, Mr. Beast asked AK&M's if she is willing to take on the challenge on a bullet game where if she wins, she nets 10k, if she draws or loses, right out. So, let's have a look. So when you look at this position, e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4 takes, knight f6, knight c3, e6, you have nothing in your mind because you're not necessarily a seasoned player. But for me, this already kind of jogs my memory of, oh, I'm supposed to go for knight db5 and go pressure the d6 square. But to start from the beginning, 2 weeks ago, I was asked by Nemo to help her out. So I did, and did look for ideas for her to sort of improve and gauge her openings. And when I saw this challenge, I was a little bit terrified, but also very excited to see how she will do in a very, very competitive high stake game. Now, when I was preparing my mental notes, I remembered and recalled that she played a3 here, which is not the truth. I was just hoping that she was playing a3 when I was watching. She played bishop e3, which by in itself, not a bad move. Now notice the clocks. This will be very, very important because it's a 1 minute game. So if time elapses for either Nemo or her opponent, that means game is lost. So if you look at the clock, it's 56 seconds to 56 seconds. So even though bishop e3 is not ideal, it's still a decent move. Probably she anticipated the time on of setup, but this is a little bit different from that. The opponent goes d5, missing the chance. Here actually, the opponent should have gone bishop b4, immediately pressing the e pawn. d5, e takes d5, e takes d5, a3. And this was the moment I was very happy with Nemo's play. It's 54 seconds each, but she is playing for restriction. She is stopping her opponent from getting this bishop to an active spot, and there is no direct way to attack her position. Bishop e7, bishop d3, already 1 second advantage. Now, in bullet games, these advantages actually accumulate. So if you can gain these advantages, they might prove to be pivotal towards the end. Castles, castles. Knight e5, h3. Notice that Nemo is playing very fast and keeps her 1 second advantage. Also, she has a good position as her opponent has that d5 pawn, which is constantly weak and has to safeguard it. Knight takes d3, queen takes d3, bishop d7, and already, look at the clock, 49 versus 53 seconds. Now, this wouldn't be that big of an issue and a big of a deal if this was a longer time control, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes game. But when it's 1 minute, 3-4 seconds means that she's not just up ahead on the clock, but she's up ahead in the position as well. So she's basically waging a two-front war on her opponent. Rook e1, very good, simple move, putting the rook on the file. Rook e8, knight f5. Spending 2 seconds, but that's actually a good strategy. If you have that extra time, you have to invest it. Especially in bullet, you want to put pressure, because if you play a strong move, that will kind of force your opponent to waste even more time. Bishop takes f5, queen takes f5, queen c8. Here the idea of d4, which is an uncomfortable fork, does not work because of rook a d1, and the queen would be pinned on d8. So in fact, Nemo wasn't making a mistake here. Queen c8, queen d3. A good choice, keeping the queens on the board. She does have to win. As you've heard at the beginning, the challenge goes, if she wins 10k. Anything else, draw, loss, same end result, no win. Bishop c5, rook d1. Just getting the rook into the game. Rook d1, bishop takes e3, rook takes e3, rook takes, queen takes e3. So now here comes the phase which is actually kind of difficult, and very difficult when you're in a must-win situation. So this situation does happen at the highest of high levels, where only a win is guaranteeing you a good spot or a good prize money. And the issue that Nemo is facing is the reduction of pieces. It's not that her position isn't better, but that she has to make sure that there's enough to play for a win. Queen takes c3, but again, look at the clocks. 41 seconds for chess player, and for Nemo, 46. Still 5 seconds. In fact, it's growing. So she's not only winning on the board, or at least she is the one pressing against the weakness, but she's also winning on the clock. Queen c6, queen d4. Not wasting much time, spending only 1 second immediately attacking that weakness. h6, rook e1. And that's a very good move by her, taking control of that file. So she's not just pressing that d pawn, but she's also making sure that her opponent doesn't get any counterplay. b6, rook e5, just ganging up on the d pawn. Rook e8, a very nice move by the opponent, trying to force off the pieces of the board. If you would go after the d pawn, the c2 pawn would hang. So rook takes e8, queen takes e8, knight takes d5. So far a very tense game, but notice that she still keeps that cushion of 4 seconds, which is very important. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5, queen e1 check, here queen takes f2. Now this is getting scary. For me as a coach and someone who helps her, this was a very scary moment because I see the reduction, but what scared me most is her king on h2. It is very easily running into checks and can become a perpetual in no time. So she goes and plays queen d8, queen d3, and that's a great idea. She makes queen g3 possible. If push comes to shove, she might be able to go for an endgame where she has the passer and her opponent does not. So f5, b4, h5, a4. So she is preparing to create a passer where she's the stronger. Although you can see that the tension is sort of rising, 27 seconds and 28 for her, so only 1 second cushion by now. h4, a5, ba, ba, g6, c4. Hitting on the right plan, she has to run with the c-pawn, that's her best chance. Now also notice that her opponent was higher rated with 30 points or so, and winning at demand is quite a feat by itself. Queen c5, a very solid move. But again, you can see 4 second cushion. Now, her next move isn't the best, but is a very practical one. Queen d5. Probably not the best move, and I'd call it as a bluff. You could call it a mistake if you'd like, but at this moment of time, when there's 20 seconds for her opponent, 23 for her opponent really had to make a choice. Either you go and take and hope that is good for you, or pre-move, which is one of the features of chess.com, and try to win time that way. Now I assume, and I have this feeling, that chess player might have thought that, okay, in the long run, maybe I am the better bullet player, so I'm the faster player, and kind of not thinking of the idea of taking on d5. It turns out queen takes d5, c takes d5, king f6 would have been kind of a problem for Nemo, as that endgame is winning, not for white, but for black. Queen c7 check, but luckily for Nemo, queen c7 actually was played. King h1, queen f4. Now, from a strategical perspective, her bluff, so we say queen d5, was very, very, very good. From a strategical perspective, this queen is right there to support the king on h1 from any perpetual ideas and pushing the c-pawn in the long run. So queen e6 check, king h7, queen e2. Notice how careful she is not to allow these perpetual ideas. King c1 check, king h2, g5. Queen e7 check, king g6, queen e6, king g7, queen takes f5. Now, the computers, if you look at them, they say this position is still a draw. Well, that might be the case, but with 10 seconds a clock, 2-second advantage for Nemo, this is what I would call practically winning in a game like this. Queen f4, already a decisive mistake, but I would have bet on white anyways. Queen f4, gf, king g1. She knows what she has to do. She brings in her king and goes full Pac-Man on chess players' forces. King f6, king f2, king e5, king f3, walking up the board, picking up those pawns like berries. Takes, king g4, king b5, takes, king takes a5, g4, king b5, and her pawn is just in time, and queen takes a2, and here her opponent resigned. Quite a spectacular game by Nemo, very clutch, very mentally strong, and notice the time difference when the whole game ended. 8 seconds for her, 4 for her opponent. That is clutch play. Clutch play. A very well-deserved win for Nemo. So I really hope you enjoyed this small little breakdown of her successful challenge that she had with Mr. Beast. And if you have any comments, please feel free to comment below and leave a like if you like this content. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.